Hey there, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. In this video, I want to talk about my voice. I want to level with you guys. A lot of people have been asking me about voiceovers, and they've come from channels that have nothing to do with composing or audio. They've come from in one case, a video, a kind of film photo editor kind of guy that was like, I will pay you if you tell me, how you set up your tutorials and how you set up your microphone and all that stuff. And enough people have been asking that I just rather make a video about it to kind of get everything out there. That's what this video is about, capturing a voiceover. If you're a podcaster, if you're a vlogger, if you are doing anything that requires you to have a great vocal sound, even singers too, this might be handy. So let's just walk into what I use, my setup, all the stuff to get a great sound. I think it kind of starts off with a thing called the good rule. What's the good rule? The good rule is something I learned in audio engineering school. It is this: good microphone, good cables, good preamp, good room, good presenter equals good result. It's a combination of things. It takes a village sonically to get a good result. If one of those things is compromised, you're going to be in trouble. So let's start off with the room. What do we mean by good room? Well, in this one, I have some panels up on the wall. You can see to the, is it going to be left of me? Yeah, to the left of me. We have some panels by Prime Acoustic. It was a London 12 kit that I got, and I put them up myself. They have some great advice on how to do that. But if you're wondering why I'm sweating, it's because I closed the door and turn off the fan to this room to get a good sound at the source, which means I don't have to do a lot of post-production after I capture this video. That's the trade-off. I sweat so that you don't have a rich noise floor. The noise floor is anything that is not being captured by a microphone, guitar, vocals that shows up in the audio recording. So it's the ambient noise. Well, let me show you what it is. I'm going to open the door, I'm going to turn the fan on, and you'll hear how those two things compromise part one of the good rule, which is to get a good sound in the room. Have a listen. I'm going to open them up. Hear that? Do you hear the difference? Now I'm talking and you can hear a noise floor under me. And I won't sweat, but you will get more sound. And so that's part one of a good rule, is to eliminate environmental, circumstances if you can. I can deal with some sweating. Some people have been kind of nasty in the comments, but you know what? Less work for me to do at the end of the day. So I'm going to close that door and turn that fan off. Just 1 second. So that's part one of the good rule, right? To get the room right. Next up, good room, good microphone. This is a Shure SM7B. I reviewed this microphone. I'm still using it. I think it's a very good microphone. I have a broadcast arm that was actually just given to me by someone who was so kind as to send it across the border for free. They weren't using it anymore. They were a podcaster or ex-podcaster, and they delivered it to me, and it was super kind of them. So I have some XLR cables with great shielding going into a preamp, which is my Apollo 8. And right now, there's no processing. I'm going to leave this one naked. I'm going to leave this microphone bit here, this first part of the video, totally unadulterated. And then in the next part of the video, I'll show you what I do to get to clean my vocal up, mostly for the job that I do for iZotope. With the commercials and videos, and not really commercials, excuse me, the tutorials that I do on my YouTube channel, I don't do a ton of cleanup because the pressure's kind of low with the amount of subscribers and with my life and everything. I don't want to spend a ton of time cleaning stuff up. But for iZotope, it's an audio company that's very respected, and we want to make sure that the stuff we're putting out is at a quality and a kind of caliber that kind of fits in with our heritage. So we want to make sure that there's no breaths and no mouth sounds and clicks and sibilants and all the rest of it. So I'm going to show you the post process for that. But in keeping with the whole good rule thing, we cover the room, we cover the microphone, SM7B. You don't have to use this mic. It's an expensive mic. You could use something a little bit cheaper. Let's talk about microphone position, because if I'm being honest with you, the microphone is not, I'm a little closer when I'm doing the tutorials. I'm kind of like this. I'm kind of right up here. And with this, you get a nice proximity effect, which is something you can get from ribbon, condenser, or dynamic microphones, I believe. Although you wouldn't want to tempt your fate with a ribbon microphone getting too close, because those things can't handle SPLs, that are too kind of crazy. With a condenser or a dynamic microphone, this is dynamic. You can get pretty close and you get a great low frequency response. All that stuff kind of comes up. You get close to the mic, you get that Howard Stern kind of effect of deep, rich tones coming up the closer that you get. And also you reject a lot of the room, right? It doesn't matter if you're, using a highly directional kind of shotgun mic or an omnidirectional or a figure eight or something like that, or cardioid or hypercardioid. The closer you get to your microphone, the more the microphone will, like a flashlight, reject everything else happening in the room. So if I'm far away, we're going to get more of the room. But if I'm closer, the microphone is focused just on my voice, and we're going to reject a lot of other things. So part of the reason I get nice and close is because of that proximity effect, but also we're rejecting a lot of other noise happening in this room. And so when I'm doing a tutorial or something, I get as close to close to the mic as is bearable for the listener. And the other thing that you should know is this microphone has a nice pop shield. Not really sure what the technical term is for it as far as Shure is concerned, but I can take this off. Some people call it a foamy. And there we go. We have the capsule that's a bit more exposed now. We still have a bit of a grill here. This is aluminum or something, but this guy will go a long way in making sure to protect against pee-pops and even sibilance a little bit. Sometimes, and I'm jumping around here, sorry guys, but sometimes I will speak, more or less off axis. So I'll kind of come at it from this way, and this will reduce a lot of sibilance. A lot of sibilance is strongly stressed consonants like tss, ch, k, f. So when you go off axis and you have a pop shield, you can mitigate those effects. If you have a kind of unadulterated, just exposed capsule, you get nice and close. You're going to get that proximity and that warmth and that, the singer or the voiceover person is in the room with you, but you are going to capture a lot of those kind of byproducts of a vocal, like kind of the mouth sounds, the clicks, the pops, the sibilance. You can anyway. But this shield and speaking off axis will help a little bit, but I can't always be good. I can't always be honest. Sometimes I get nice and close. We will get the mouth sounds. We will get the clicks. We will get that kind of like a tongue licking the inside of your brain is how some people describe mouth sounds. And if you don't know what they are, stick around for part 2 of this video where I talk about post-processing with RX, and I'll kind of highlight them for you in a very unpleasant way, but a way that I think is very illuminating and maybe disillusioning for a lot of people, because if you don't know what they sound like, once I show you, you will, and you might not be able to stop hearing them after I show you, and you will be writing into your favorite podcaster to be like, I know what mouth sounds are. You have a bunch of them. Please fix them before I, resubscribe to season 2 of your murder podcast. Anyway, so room, microphone, position, cables, go into a preamp that works for you. It does not have to be an Apollo. It does not have to be universal audio. It could be anything. Grace is making great stuff. Apogee's making great stuff. Sapphires are awesome. Focusrite. Pretty much these days, you got to have a competitive preamp at cheap prices, otherwise you'll never make it anywhere. That being said, things come to mind like Behringer, who are kind of known for hey, this is your entry level budget kind of thing. I'm sure their preamps are great, but I happen to have an Apollo. A lot of people think that I have the pro audio equivalent of a Behringer pre with this thing. But anyway, now I'm going to show you what you need to do in a post-production setting, and this might seem like a lot of steps, but hey, great audio doesn't come cheap. Check it out. All right, so you guys ready to go pretty meta? This is the RX file of my audio, un-RX'd, untreated, of me starting the video, which I had to start at 4 minutes and 32. This is me clapping to get synced. Hey there, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. In this video, I want to talk about, for the uninitiated, this is RX, okay? It's by iZotope. There's 2 ways to look at audio. We can either go for the traditional waveform display or a spectrogram display. In the spectrogram display, time goes left to right, frequency bottom to top. We're in a mono file here. RX is kind of like a photo editor for your audio. If you see something, you can remove it. And I'm pretty used to looking at the screen, so I know what I'm looking at here. I know where some problems are. I know what sibilance, what breaths look like. I know what everything kind of looks like. The point is not to brag. The point is to clean up what I just recorded and show you what I normally do when I do my videos. So anyway, just situate you. This is what we deal with. Usually I will have the slider all the way to the spectrogram view. Some people like to park it right in the middle so they can see both. To me, there's so much more information in the spectrogram view. The first thing I'm going to do is just chop, remove everything from 430 something. And just nix that. So if I am working on a vocal, I will just chop the claps and slaps and stuff and start to go ahead and clean up the vocal. About my voice, I want to level with you guys. First thing I see is a breath, okay, right here. Composing or audio, they've come from, I have asthma, no surprise to some people. I breathe in heavy. I breathe in hard. I go hard. I swing for the fences when I breathe. It's loud. Couple ways to deal with breath issues. You can go with breath control, which will automatically, detect and remove the breaths. I like to do it manually. I don't know why. I just do. I'll turn on instant process right here. Quick command is I, and gain is the tool that I use to attenuate them. Attenuate is a fancy way to say make quieter, and we can bring them down by about 30 decibels. Bell, we say, not decibels. Bell, Alexander Graham Bell, who's kind of Canadian. We just got to say that. With my instant process on, I will highlight, and boom, quieter. Here's before. With composing or audio, they've come from, here's after. With composing or audio, they've come from, well, in one case, a video, a kind of film photo editor kind of guy. Okay. So as we go deeper into this voiceover file, we're going to hear some mouth clicks and mouth sounds. It's because when you're talking a lot and you're dehydrated, when those two things add up, you will get more of those things, and you'll probably hear them. Let me see if I can find some on the fly. The hot, cold ground. It's Nutric or Noitric. I don't even know. They make some great cables. Go into a preamp. All right, there's some mouth clicks. If those of you can hear them, you will hear them. If you can't hear them, I gotta highlight them. The hot, cold ground. There's one right there. Okay, right in the center. Whoops. That's what happens when you have instant process on. Ground. It's this right here. That little line going from top to bottom, that's a lip smack. That's just, air and saliva separating. It's not good. And this happens all over the place. And those of you that can hear this don't need me to point it out. We have a thing. iZotope has a thing. Okay. It's called mouth declick. Go over here. Highlight some audio, sensitivity, leave it at 4. I think the default is at 4. Skew to high frequency, because, right, this is happening. I said frequency bottom to top, right? From 1K and above. We're not happening down here. So I'm going to skew the frequency to kind of look at stuff in the more the high frequency kind of sense. Now I will click render. Boom, gets rid of it, and a bunch of other things, right? Pretty big difference. We see a lot of other mouth clicks there. Just so you can hear the mouth clicks, I'm going to press output clicks only. You see that, right? Now I'll hit preview. It's only going to play the mouth clicks that it hears as a result of our settings. Our sensitivity at 4, our frequency skew to kind of look above. I'm not really sure what the cutoff is here for low frequency to high frequency, but I'm assuming it's probably somewhere around 2K, 1K and above, or 1K and below. Let's bring it back to 3. Click widening is just in case a click, the repair area around a click is like a couple milliseconds long instead of, a fraction of a millisecond or something like that. We need to kind of widen the area in which the click happens. We can do that by widening that area here. Some mouth clicks are pretty lengthy. So here's just the clicks. Okay, that's pretty disgusting. Let's keep going. Fun fact, I once heard from a game developer after I was doing a demo that they used mouth click, output clicks only, to create the sound design for the creature, which is kind of fun. So they just hit this box and then rendered, and they just got clicks, and they use that as like the basis for the creature, which is kind of fun. Anyway, so we want to get rid of those things because those are gross. So what you would do is what I would do is click a whole chunk here and then go render. It's going to take a little while on a big file. I'm not going to do it across this entire file, but and that's what happens when you leave it on. Let's unclick it. We're learning as we go here. So we uncheck it because we checked it. It just rendered everything and output all the mouth clicks that it heard. So there we go. You're not going to see a big difference visually, but if I zoom in here, see that? Before, after, before, after. So I get rid of the mouth clicks. I get rid of the breaths. I'll go breath by breath. Another thing I want to do is get rid of the sound here in the background from the room. Even though we closed the door, we turned off the fan, there's still some ambient noise, which just bothers me. And what I would do is I'd look for a chunk of noise where I'm not breathing or talking. I try and find some. That's pretty good right there. So let's just highlight that. It's pretty quick, a little under a second. And then I would go to spectral denoise. A lot of people like voice denoise. I like spectral, a bit more precise. Hit learn to learn the kind of fingerprint, and then undo my selection and render it out to the entire file. It's going to run through the entire file and subtract the noise fingerprint from everything else and just give you a nice, clean, transparent, denoised sound for the entire voiceover. I do this all the time. Sometimes, in fact, I will start my voiceover by not saying anything and just letting some ambient sound play so that I have a nice long fingerprint to work from. So that's something else that I do. The next thing I'll do is get rid of some plosives. I said with this microphone, with the pop shield, you will, it will mitigate plosives as a result of your off-axis orientation. But if you're even, full on the mic, the pop shield will control for some of those. But you can see on the bottom here, from around 100 hertz and below, you see these spikes of orange to protect against P-pops. So right there, in fact, I can extend this range so I can really see what's going on. Go to extended log. Now we get more low-end real estate and we can really see what's going on here. We've gone from, if I just go back here, guys, right, from Mel, so we don't even see 0.5. We don't see those values, those points. If I go to extended log, now we have a lot more real estate. I can highlight this and use something like, where is it? Deplosive. Set the limit to 100. That sounds fine to me. Strength to 5, sensitivity to 5, and it gets rid of them. So here's before. Go a long way in making sure to protect against P-pops. These aren't even that bad. These are not even egregious P-pops. Here's after. Way in making sure to protect against P-pops. Protect against P-pops. Protect against P-pops, and even sibilance a little bit. Sometimes against P-pops, So they're deharshened, but again, they weren't that bad to begin with as a result of, again, good microphone placement, all that stuff. So that's something else that I will do. A lot of people ask me if I do any EQ work when I'm doing this kind of stuff. You'll notice, first of all, we did not do any compression work. I don't do any compression on my voice. I just know how far away I am from the microphone, and I know not to get too loud or too quiet. I stay at a pretty constant volume, which is what you should do so that you don't have to use a compressor to smooth things out. Sometimes you do have to use a compressor to smooth things out, but I don't. One thing I do, though, is because I'm using this microphone, which is a kind of dark, gritty mic, is I will use an EQ just to brighten things up a little bit. I'll open the default one in RX. And this is one that I have. It's a custom one, Jeff's VO, where I boost a little bit because people love this garbage, I boost a little bit at 64 hertz, and then I dip a little bit at around 300 hertz, and then I'll boost a little bit at 1500 hertz, and then I will do a nice kind of generous boost at 5K at 1.7, and I will, let's do a little before and after here. So I'll just highlight this passage, render that, and you can hear, I hope, that it makes it a little bit brighter. Here's before. More or less off axis. So I'll kind of come at it from this way, and this will reduce a lot of sibilance, and here's after. More or less off axis. So I'll kind of come at it from this way, and this will reduce a lot of sibilance. Let's do one more before and after. Whoops. Before. More or less off axis. After. More or less off axis. So I'll kind of come at it from this way, and this will. That's a better example here. Before, more. So I'll kind of come at it from this. Way, and this will reduce a lot. After. So I'll kind of come at it from this way. Before. So I'll kind of come at it from this way, and this will. After. So I'll kind of come at it from this way. It's just a touch brighter, just because the Shure SM7B is a little dark, in my humble opinion, and I've had to kind of brighten it up, and it's, it's worth the trade-off when you think of, the kind of, it takes care of plosives, it takes care of sibilance, but it's a bit dark, and that's not, barely lifting a finger here to get the EQ across. So what did we cover here? If I go to the undo history window, we can see that we did some mouth declicking, some spectral denoising, some deplosiving, some EQ work as well. Sometimes I will do some leveling. I know I said I didn't use any compression. The leveler just sets you a nice kind of overall level for the entire performance. I don't do this that much, just again because I monitor my own performance psychologically and I know when I'm being too loud or too quiet. But something I wanted to kind of point out to you guys is if you are feeling like this is a lot of work, there's a thing called the module chain. Okay, just retrace your steps. What do we do first, right? We did mouth declick, go to mouth declick. And then what do we do after that? We went to spectral denoise, go to spectral denoise. And then we did deplosive, go to deplosive. Where are you? There you are. And then we did some EQ work. Let's go to EQ. And what this allows you to do is create this kind of, you're basically automating. You're telling, you're telling RX what you want it to do. And you can open the settings and make sure everything's okay. Yeah, skewed to 2.8. Maybe we'll add this to 3. It sounds good. Awesome. Spectral denoise. Yep, those are the right settings. And if you're doing your own vocal every time, if you have a singer that comes in or a voiceover artist that comes in and they're always sibilant, they're always adding plosives, they're always in a crappy room every single time, create a chain, create a module chain for them. Save it, say like, Tim's awful VO. And this way, when Tim's like, hey, can you fix my VO? You just call it up. Boom, Tim's awful VO. Hit render. It's going to go through every single thing that you set, run through all the settings. You can go grab a coffee, do whatever you want, live your life. And it just kind of takes care of everything for you. So it's very, very handy. So I have one set up for my voiceover. I can't show it to you now because we're rendering all the processing and stuff like that. But this is just a nice way to save time. To deplosive, EQ, spectral denoise, and mouth declick your vocal. We can add even more stuff to this if we want to. But anyway, this gives you a little window into the work that I do for the capture and post-production portions of my vocal. And hopefully this was educational to you. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't use. A lot that's kind of more capable in RX that I'm just, I'm not really using for the voiceover stuff, but I will use in other kind of parts of my life. But I just figured it'd be easier to stick to what I do for the voiceover. So if you have any questions or comments about the capture, the post-production process, the room stuff, the treatment stuff, the microphone stuff, please let me know in the comments. Not doing too many videos these days, trying to keep it one a month or one every couple of weeks or so. So hopefully this satisfies your appetites and satiates you. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.